Hello, so Timmy from the Lost Cunningham channel has tagged me to do the buried treasure tag book challenge thing, whatever. So here's to you, mate. Let's go. Alright, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's Jose here, yes, from Spain, welcoming you to another book tag challenge thing. So these things are always fun. So this is in response to Timmy from, as I said, the Lost Cunningham challenge all the way across the pond in the US. How you doing, mate? I hope you're keeping well. Here we go. This is it's going to be interesting. It's going to be it's made me think. So here we go. Question number. There's 9 questions. So I'll put the questions in the description below. Let's go. Number 1. A book on my shelf that has been there for a long time that I've never talked about. This one here, Shadows of the Pomegranate Tree by Tariq Ali, book 1 of the Islam Quintet. So basically, the reason this is in my bookshelf is set in my hometown in Spain, which was the last town that was conquered back from the Muslims / Arabs, Moors, I suppose, back in 1492, and it deals with the aftermath of the reconquest from the Christian Catholic kings, and how they were not particularly kind to the Muslims that decided to stay in the town. But the setting is very close to my heart. I grew up in that town. I saw a presentation of the book by Tariq Ali in my hometown. The 2nd of January we celebrate. It's a bit weird. We celebrate that we kicked the Muslims out of the town. Obviously, in this day and age, that's not okay to celebrate. So apparently, we now celebrate the meeting of the cultures. Whereas anyone that knows the history knows that everything that happened afterwards was burning of books, chasing of Arabs, slayings, killings on the street, blood. I don't know. It was messed up. So I've got another one from Tariq Ali's in the quintet. Certainly a bit of historical fiction there, close to my heart, but I've never really talked about it. Maybe one day I'll give it a video. I don't know. Okay. Moving on. Now, question number 2. A book with a cover that it is soulful is actually awesome. Well. I don't have very many awful book covers, but as soon as I saw this question, it made me think, Elmore Leonard Out of Sight. What on earth is that? You wouldn't be able to print that and get away with it in this day and age. And also the fact is that the cover is so awful and it's so misleading to the actual book that I don't know what they were thinking or what they were on when they put this together. I found this book abandoned at my local train station when I used to live in the UK, and I found actually like 3 abandoned Elmore Leonard books, and I just scooped them all up. They're really good. They're good fun, great characters, great stories. I really like Elmore Leonard books. I don't know what the that is about, but there you have it. It is so awful, it's actually funny. Question number 3. A book I love that I wish everyone read. That would be Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami. Love the book. It's so personal. It sort of took me back to a time and a place when, I don't know, you're growing up, experiencing certain emotions for the first time. There's a certain feeling of kind of longing for times past. There's a certain, I don't know if sadness is the word, melancholy to the book, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I want to read a bit more from Murakami, but this book is so good and so personal and so touching that I think I wish everyone read it. Obviously, title based on a Beatles song. You know, there was a time when music used to mean something. So there you go. I wish everyone read that. Question number 4. A well-known authors underappreciated work. I'm not so sure. I've already talked about this in the channel. I think I cannot be bothered to get it from the shelf, but the short story collections from Stephen King, Skeleton Crew, are so superior to his novels, and I don't think people give them much credit. I don't think people spend that much time reading his short stories, and I think they are vastly superior to a lot of his novels. There you have it. So for me, that would be the one, Skeleton Crew by Stephen King. Number 5, oldest edition of a book on my shelf. This is a bit controversial because I've got an older edition of a different book, but that's at my parents' place, and the book itself is quite controversial. And it could be a lot of things could be misinterpreted if I got that book out and showed it. So I'm going to leave it aside, leave the mystery, the air of mystery there. Ooh. Maybe at some point in the future I may talk about it, but I don't want to get into trouble. So instead, I'm going to pick the Kon-Tiki expedition by Thor Heyerdahl. This is the account of the Kon-Tiki expedition where they crossed the Pacific on a makeshift raft made out of balsa wood, and it chronicles the expedition. The price is actually, I think the book, no, it's a second edition of the book, and it is from 1950, second edition, April of 1950. Really, unbelievable. If it wasn't for the photos inside the book, you wouldn't believe some of the things that happened to them in the expedition. And I actually was fortunate, lucky enough, when I visited Oslo, I went to the Kon-Tiki Museum and I saw a replica of the raft and the video. It's really good, kind of real world explorers adventures that made me want to read a bit more on similar sort of exploration adventure stories. So 1950 Kon-Tiki expedition, I bought it for like peanuts on eBay. Really, really good bargain, hardcover. This is gonna last forever. Okay, number 6, author in my shelves I have never heard anyone talk about. That's my little one being murdered by my wife. I'm going to just ignore and pretend everything's fine. Right, this one I'm not entirely sure, because the idea for this book, the concept was originated from, or it occurred to the cinema director J.J. Abrams, but the book was actually written by Doug Dorst, although it's a pretend book. There's a fictional author there, V.M. Stracker, and The Ship of Theseus is a fictional book title. The actual book title is S by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst. Haven't seen very many people talk about it. I've got an idea for a video talking about peculiar books in my collection, and I will be featuring these at some point, but that's the book I choose for this question. Number 7, a book I love from my shelves that I haven't read in over 5 years. Well, no one would have heard of this book. It's not here in my shelves here, it's at my parents' place, but it's a book series by an Italian author called Giovannino Guareschi, and it's the Don Camillo series. It's been translated into English if you actually want to bother looking at it. But the Don Camillo series I really love. I love the premise, I love the concept, they are funny. It's basically set in post-World War II Italy, in a very small town in the north of Italy, where you have a staunchly conservative Catholic priest that is always at odds, arguing with the ultra-communist mayor of the town. But yet they have this symbiotic relationship where the mayor forces everyone in the town to go and attend church on a Sunday, and both of them, they have this love-hate relationship, and they both want the best for the people in the village, coming from totally opposite ends, but they're happy because the communists, even though they hate the church and God, they still get Christian and they still go to mass, and from his pulpit the priest is always condemning the communists and asking them to burn and go to hell, but never the mayor himself. It's a weird, it's a very heartwarming set of, and they're short stories, they're not long novels, And I really enjoyed them when I read them as a kid, but I haven't read them in donkey's years. Okay, moving on. Number 8. A book I remember reading in my childhood. Very many of them, but possibly the one I remember the most is The Hobbit, because I was a keen reader as a boy, and my parents they just got fed up of buying me books for kids. You know, your classic books for kids collections things. They just didn't want to spend any more money, so they got me a library membership. And the first book I took out of the library that afternoon was The Hobbit. Took it home, read it in one sitting. The following day when I went to return it to the librarian actually couldn't believe I had read that book that afternoon, but I actually did. And yeah, The Hobbit, there you have it. And number 9, final question. A book I love from a genre I don't tend to read from. Okay, I'm not entirely sure I love it, but it certainly sparked an interest in this, again, sort of exploration, real world stories. And this one is Scott and Amundsen, and it sort of chronicles the race to reach the South Pole between Scott and Amundsen, and it's got great sort of pictures at the center of it. And it's really good how it contrasts the minimalist, very efficient expedition led by Amundsen and the chaotic, messed up tragedy that ended up being the Scott expedition. And ever since reading it, I'm just, I've gone on to read about the first climbing of Mount Everest, and I want to read a bit more about finding of the North Passage and going to the North Pole, and these kind of books that I don't really read very often, but I find really interesting. So that is my buried treasure book tag. Thank you very much, Timmy, for the nomination. I am meant to pass this on to someone, whoever wants to do it, whoever wants to give it a go, share a little bit of your enthusiasm, love for reading and books. Go ahead, do it, please. As usual, I hope you're keeping safe, I hope you're keeping fine. Thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, let me know. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.